You just picked up your phone for no reason. You weren't waiting for a message. You had nothing to check. Your thumb just moved on its own, and 30 seconds later, you were scrolling something you don't even remember choosing. That twitch feels like a habit. It isn't. It's older than habits. It's older than phones, older than screens, older than boredom itself as you understand it. Somewhere underneath that reflex is a punishment system your brain has been running for hundreds of thousands of years, and it was never built to let you sit still. Here's the strange part. Sitting still should be easy. Your body is resting. Your muscles aren't burning calories. By every rule of simple survival, doing nothing should feel like relief. So why does it feel like static? Why does 5 idle minutes in a waiting room feel longer than 5 minutes doing something hard? In 2014, psychologist Timothy Wilson at the University of Virginia ran an experiment that answered this in the most uncomfortable way possible. He put people alone in a room with nothing to do but think. No phone, no book, just their own mind for 15 minutes. Before the session, participants were shown a device that delivered a mild electric shock, and every one of them said they'd pay money to avoid it. Then Wilson left them alone with that device and nothing else. A quarter of the women shocked themselves rather than sit with their own thoughts. 2/3 of the men did. One man shocked himself 19 times in 15 minutes. These weren't people with unusual conditions. They were ordinary adults, and given a straight choice between boredom and pain, a huge number of them chose pain. That should sound impossible. It isn't, once you understand what idleness meant for most of human history. Your brain didn't evolve in a world with furniture and screens. It evolved in small foraging bands, moving across landscapes where every hour mattered. Not because those bands were desperate. Anthropologist Richard Lee spent years documenting the ǃKung people of the Kalahari Desert in the 1960s, and what he found upended assumptions researchers had carried for decades. These hunter-gatherers weren't scraping by on the edge of starvation. They worked, on average, around 15 to 20 hours a week to meet their basic needs. The rest of the time was social. It was tracking, teaching, storytelling, tool repair, watching, listening, noticing. Notice that word. Noticing. Even their unstructured hours weren't blank. They were scanning. A rustle in the grass wasn't nothing. A shift in wind direction wasn't nothing. A silence where there should have been birdsong wasn't nothing. Your ancestors who treated stillness as truly empty, who let their attention go slack for too long, missed the signs that mattered. The predator, the storm, the stranger on the ridge. Stillness without vigilance was a liability that got selected against generation after generation, until what was left was a mind that treats unfilled time as a kind of alarm. That's the punishment. Boredom isn't a glitch. It's a warning light. Psychologist John Eastwood at York University has spent much of his career studying exactly this feeling, and his definition cuts right to it. Boredom, he argues, is the discomfort of wanting to be engaged with something and being unable to find it. Not the absence of stimulation, the failure to connect with it. Your brain isn't asking for entertainment. It's asking for a task worth its attention, and when it can't find one, it manufactures distress until you go looking. Think about what that means for a hunter-gatherer whose survival depended on constant low-grade environmental awareness. Boredom was the feeling that pushed you to keep scanning, keep moving, keep noticing, because a mind that went fully idle was a mind that could be caught off guard. The discomfort wasn't cruelty. It was a leash, keeping attention from wandering too far from the world that could kill you. Now put that same leash on a person sitting in a modern office chair with nothing to check, nothing to hunt, nothing to scan. The system still fires. The warning light still comes on. But there's no predator to find, no storm to track, no ridge to watch. So the mind reaches for the nearest thing that resembles engagement, and lately, that thing is almost always a screen. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because the technology in your pocket didn't invent this hunger. It found it already there, fully formed, sharpened over 100,000 generations, and simply learned how to feed it faster than anything in nature ever could. A notification is a rustle in the grass that never stops rustling. A feed is a horizon that never runs out of new things to scan. Your brain isn't broken for reaching toward it. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. It's just doing it in an environment that never lets the search end. So why does 5 minutes of true idleness feel unbearable, while 5 minutes of scrolling feels like nothing at all? Because scrolling isn't idle. It only looks that way from the outside. Internally, it's scanning. It's the same circuitry your ancestors used to sweep a horizon line, redirected toward an infinite horizon of other people's lives, opinions, and moments. The body is still. The vigilance system is fully awake. Here's the twist most people miss. The goal was never stimulation for its own sake. It was information that mattered. A ~KUng tracker reading footprints in sand wasn't bored, because every mark carried consequence. It told a story about what passed, how long ago, how fast, how large. That kind of attention is deeply satisfying, because it's attention with a payoff. Compare that to an endless scroll of unrelated fragments, each one interesting for a second and then gone, none of them building toward anything. You get the vigilance without the payoff. You get the leash without the destination, and that's why an hour of scrolling can leave you feeling more depleted than an hour of genuinely hard-focused work. This is the quiet mismatch running underneath a huge amount of modern restlessness. Your brain's alarm for wasted time is still calibrated to a world where wasted time could mean a missed threat or a missed meal. It has no setting for a world of infinite, harmless, low-stakes stimulation. It just knows the alarm hasn't turned off, so it keeps sending you looking and looking and looking long after there's anything worth finding. Understanding this doesn't shut the alarm off, but it does change what it feels like when it fires. The itch to check your phone in a quiet moment isn't weakness. It isn't a character flaw. It's 100,000 years of vigilance with nowhere left to point itself. The people who built fires from flint and tracked animals across deserts had the exact same restless circuitry running in their skulls that's running in yours right now. The same discomfort with unclaimed time. The same pull toward anything that looks like a signal. The difference is what they had to scan for actually meant something. So the next time your thumb moves before your mind decides to move it, you're not glitching. You're not lazy, and you're not addicted in some unique, modern way that no human before you ever felt. You're running an ancient search function in a world that no longer has anything worth finding at the end of it, and your brain hasn't gotten the memo yet. Maybe it never will, but now at least you know what that twitch actually is. You just picked up your phone for no reason, except it was never really no reason at all.